Welcome to Everyday Ethics, everybody. I am still paying off my debt to the audience, which is why I'm still wearing the cat eared headphones. They're starting to grow on me a little bit, though. We are here with the lovely Persephone, the brilliant Persephone, who is ready to pepper me with questions. So, without further ado,
Okay. So I once again I went back to Reddit.
with questions.
I love hearing myself talk. So I went back to Reddit to look for some more like of the moral dilemmas that people were having. I found an interesting one.
Okay.
So this person says, I was chatting to someone who is really into festivals. They had noticed that a lot of people leave the festival abandoning their tent and camping gear. Now, this is actually something that I've seen as well. When I used to go to trance parties, I used to see like at the end of the trance party, people would just leave. They would just leave their shit there. They would
The
like
what? What
a
the hell is
trance.
a trans party? What is that?
Um, like trance music.
Oh, you're saying trance.
Yeah, well, I'm South African, so we say trance.
Well,
But
when you're
yes,
saying trans, I'm thinking you're going for a transsexual party.
no, like trance music. You know those festivals where you listen to like trance music and you
I don't
do
know
lots
what
of.
trance music is, but it makes more sense to me than a trans party. But either way, your personal proclivities are your business. So let's get to the
To the
moral
question.
question. Yeah.
Okay, so at these festivals, some people they go and they leave their tents and shit behind when they leave. The festivals are like multi-day long and they leave their tents and their shit. So this person says that their friend often engaged in the behavior of picking up abandoned gear. So after the festival ended, they go around and they take the things that people have left behind.
Okay.
So there's that. Here's where it gets stupid. One time they were doing this, and it turned out the people had not actually left the festival. They came back and were really angry, calling the people thieves and alerting security. Security initially detained them before letting them go. What do you think of this behavior? Picking up gear that was abandoned after.
Well,
Thanks.
first, Katie, thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, we love super chats. We love super stickers. Katie says, "Hey, Mike, Persephone, and everyone, feeling generous today. Love y'all. Love you too. Thank you so much." Um, I don't know the culture of these things, so I don't know if that's the norm where people abandon their stuff and it's basically a free for all after. Is that the norm for these gatherings?
Well, the culture of a lot of the festivals that well, a lot of the trans parties that I've been to is people are really fucked up, like on drugs, so they do leave their shit behind. Um, and a lot of the time, what the festival organizers will do is they will sell the abandoned gear. So I don't think that if you are walking around after the festival is over and it's like, everyone has fucked off, I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with taking the gear, but it sounds like the festival was still happening or there were people still there, in which
Okay.
case that's
Yeah, well then, yeah. I mean, you have
theft.
to go by the whatever the norms are, and I don't know them. But if the norm is you wait until this thing is over and then you can take the stuff, and they're stealing it while it's still going on, I think they just stole the stuff and then tried to use the excuse, "Oh no, we thought it was abandoned." That's what it sounds like to me, because people that attend these things would know what the culture is.
Yeah, but I mean it's still iffy because are you hanging around until like the very last person has left the festival? Because you never really know if the people are actually if they're actually like if they've left their stuff behind.
Well, I'll tell you what, weigh on the side of caution before you start taking stuff that doesn't belong to you.
I mean, I would agree with that. Like even if it is kind of the accepted norm, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't risk it. taking someone else's stuff if I don't know that they're not coming back.
I figured that's what you meant.
Okay, so here's a weird one. So I found out that my client is reselling my work to customers for significantly more money than I charged. Should I keep this up? So they're under NDA and they can't say what it is that they do, but basically they're a freelance tech consultant and they charge their client $500 for like a presentation. They've just found out that this client who has a lot better brand recognition than them and has like lots of professional accolades, they are reselling this guy's work for like $2,500, but they're positioning it as their own. And in his contract, there was no indication that they were going to be white labeling, which is when you sell someone else's work under your own name. But this business who is selling on his work is not letting their clients know that this work was done by a freelancer. So he says, would it be unethical for me to keep working with this company when I know that they are unnecessarily upcharging their customers? The moral dilemma is related to the client's customers because they're paying a premium price because the organization has great branding and promises their expertise, but they're using my work under their premium expertise label instead of doing it themselves, despite me having way less expertise than them.
So what? They're basically acting as a retailer and treating the tech guy as a wholesaler. There's nothing wrong with that. I would have. I was wondering if they were going to get into some, copyright infringements or patent infringements or fraud. But the upselling, who cares? If those customers don't have access to this person that's doing it, and they're getting from a reputable company what they want, they're getting what they pay for, and there's no problem with that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily see an issue with it, especially because I know that, white labeling is a thing that exists. We do a lot of white labeling, and I don't see a problem with it. I don't know if if this person, if his like moral dilemma is real, or if he's just pissy that another company is basically charging triple, actually more, for his work than what he is.
Well, maybe he doesn't have the credibility, he doesn't have the name recognition, so he can't.
He 100% doesn't. They're a much bigger
Well, then,
company than
then,
him.
then, tough. I mean, build your reputation and be able to, because some people are willing to pay for that, and he doesn't have it, so tough. I don't see an issue with it. No Name says, "What if you're in an abandoned place and there are very interesting things that don't belong to anyone?" Uh, I'm with Jim Valiant here. Jim says, "My simple rule: never take property not my own without explicit consent, like a voluntary purchase or a gift or a loan." He says, "Truly abandoned property may legally and morally be taken like in the trash, but the onus is on you to know, hence my rule." Like, I have a friend that does something called urban exploring. Are you familiar with this, Persephone?
I am.
So what it is they go to abandoned properties.
And they don't get murdered because we
It,
don't live in a horror movie.
yes, and they look around and there's a lot of interesting stuff, whatever. But it's still, from what I understand, it's illegal to go on these properties to begin with,
Mm.
and it's looked down within the community on people who take stuff from there. From what I understand, I've never done it myself because I'm not going to risk arrest to go do this thing. So in that situation, you shouldn't be there. You're risking arrest for no good reason. The property's still not your own. And I don't know how you know for certain that nobody's coming to reclaim it. So I'd be very hesitant to take stuff under those
I mean,
circumstances.
generally the buildings that people go into have been abandoned for like upwards of 15 years.
I get it, but it's still trespassing for one. So you're putting
Yeah.
yourself at unnecessary risk for arrest. But again, it's not your stuff. Right now, Jim is right. Maybe it's truly abandoned. Maybe nobody owns it. Maybe finders keepers. Fine. But I would be very sure of that before I start grabbing up people's stuff and taking it home with me.
That's also true. Like very random. If you were like say in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, right, where all of that shit was, that that stuff's truly abandoned. Like no one's coming back for that. It's in the exclusion zone. Yes, it might be radioactive, but would you
Yeah, I'm
take
not. I'm not going to be there. So I no.
you can do tours of the exclusion zone now.
So then go tour it.
I I want to. I really do want to.
I don't want to be anywhere around radiation like that. I'm good. I don't know if it's still leaking or if there are problems, whatever. I don't know. I'm definitely not taking stuff home with me.
I would take something from the Chernobyl exclusion zone.
Not because it's theft, because I don't want to get I'm growing a penis out of my neck or something. I don't need that in my life.
Yeah, I would still do it. I don't even care. Um,
You
okay.
heard it here, folks.
I've got so many interesting questions.
Well, get to one of them.
Why are you so mean to me? Okay.
We've
So
established I'm a
this
dick.
this person says a girl asked me for my number. Was what I did next morally wrong? I'm not going to redo this whole post because he goes into a lot of justification. But this guy is sitting in a cafe and a girl comes up to him and says, "Hey, I think you're really cute. Can I have your number?" Now he says that he was flustered, not a lot of girls compliment him, so he gave her his number even though he doesn't find her attractive at all and he's not interested in being her friend, he's not interested in dating her. He was apparently just flustered, so he gave her his number. She messages him and she says, "Hey, it's like this girl from the cafe." He messages her back and says, "Hey, like cool." She continues to flirt with him and he says, "I just want you to know I'm gay." He's not gay. So he is asking, was it ethically correct for him to lie to her and say that he's gay? Because his friends are calling him an asshole and saying that he should have just been honest with her. And he's saying, but he was protecting her feelings.
Yeah, are you really asking me this question right now? Like you know what my answer is going to be.
But the audience doesn't. This is it's a
The
white
audience,
lie.
it's not a white lie. You're first of all, you're not interested in this girl, so you give her your number when you should have just said I'm not interested. Or I don't, whatever. But then you're going the further step by saying that I'm gay because you're too cowardly to just tell her that you're not interested. No, the dude's a puss.
I mean, I agree with you.
Now, it's interesting because a couple weeks ago, you can hear the dogs, I think. But maybe a month or so ago, my friend Danny and I, we were out for pizza. And, by happenstance, we just started talking to this lady who said, "Oh, I'd love to go out to pizza with you guys, sometime." And we were like, "Oh, that'd be cool." And it seemed like a great idea in the moment. And I gave her my business card. And then we just didn't follow up. But it wasn't, like I'm not lying to the woman. He's not lying to her. It's just what seemed like it would be a good idea in the moment. Just like, what are we going to meet up with some random lady for pizza? I mean, maybe we'll do it eventually. I don't know, but I don't view that under the same terms. There was no lying. There was nothing like that. What if he's gay but wants to be sure? I don't know
He's
what
not
that's
gay.
about.
He was just lying because he didn't know what else to say. He didn't know how to say, "Hey, listen, I'm actually not interested in you."
I
Can I
think she's saying, what if you have a guy that's questioning his sexuality, so he gives out the information, but then he comes back and says, "No, I'm gay." I think that's what no name is saying, and I would say, whatever. And you just tell her, "Look, I'm really gay." You tell the truth. I mean, it's not that hard.
it is quite challenging for some people
Oh
to
my
to
god.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, look. I get it. There's an emotional compulsion inside. Sometimes you don't want to be rejected. Whatever. Work on it. Get over it. Be ethical. I mean, usually it's funny because I was thinking about a quote today. I think it's from J.P. Morgan. I know it was ascribed to him, but I don't know if he actually said it. And that's people usually have two reasons for doing a thing, one that sounds good and another one. And we could come up with all kinds of justifications for why I feel emotionally compelled not to do what's right. You do what's right anyway.
So, generally speaking, when someone has an ethical dilemma, they're not going to have as much knowledge as you. They're not going to have
That's
done as
true.
they're
That's
not going to
true.
have done as much reading. And if they knew what you knew, if they were as clear on their morals and their ethics as you were, then they wouldn't be asking the questions because they
Oh,
would already know.
I think that's codswallop. I think that most time, I think there are situations where people have they truly don't know the right thing to do. Far more often, people know what the right thing to do is, but they feel an emotional compulsion pushing them the other way. Like an addict. An addict knows they should not be shooting heroin or smoking crack in their parents' basement, whatever. They do it anyways because there's a compulsion. Usually there's no dilemma there. But my point is that most of the time when people say, "Oh, I don't know what the right thing to do is," they have a hunch what the right thing to do is. They just want to do something different. Not all the time. Not all the time, but in the type of situation that's being described, where you're just, first of all, you gave your number out because you're too much of a coward to say, "I don't want to give you my number." Then you follow up with the lie because you're too much of a coward. But what you say is, because who wants to say, "You know what, I'm a coward and I can't say things to people." What you do is say, "Oh, I'm thinking of her feelings." My ass.
I mean, people are very good at lying to themselves.
Yeah, I actually read a book about that one time called The Lies We Live By. Very good book.
We'll add that to the list of book recommendations.
Maybe not. I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
You know why I
Shan't
wouldn't
then.
do it? Because it
Why?
takes, because taken out of context as a recommendation, it it could come off very differently than the message we're sending. I just don't want it to be like I'm endorsing this book because I am not.
Okay. Okay, here's an interesting one. Is it morally okay to separate the art from the artist? This person says, I'm genuinely curious what people's opinions are. Is it okay to enjoy someone's art if that person is a bad person? So they're specifically talking about Chris Brown or R. Kelly. Um,
It's funny, and this is going to be one of those emotional pulls that we just talked about, because my initial inclination is to say, look, if I'm reading a book, I don't really care about the author's character. If I'm studying philosophy, I don't care about the creator's character. And I'm thinking about paintings, like Jim says, Wagner operas, and I'm thinking no. But then when you mention something that is up to date and in my own era and isn't something I normally think of as art, not that I don't think it's art, but when you mention art, it's not what comes to mind, right? And I'm thinking, oh, I don't know. But I'm going to say enjoy it. I mean, look, if you're listening to the music, if you want to take a moral stand and not go out and buy the stuff, because you're enriching that person, that's a different story. And I could sympathize with that. But just listening to good art and enjoying good art, I don't think it's relevant to the person's character now.
so, I mean, this was a big thing with J.K. Rowling, right? People didn't like her because of many things. So no one wanted to buy the Harry Potter books or the Harry Potter video games. And I mean, obviously, loads of people did. Um, but if you genuinely disagree with her views, do you think it's immoral to give her money by purchasing the books? So not like you hear the song on the radio and you think, "Oh, this is good." If you genuinely think that J.K. Rowling is a shit person, you disagree with her views, do you then think it's immoral to go out and buy the Harry Potter video game?
Um, Immoral. I could let me flip this a little bit. I could respect somebody who said, "I'm not giving my money to people or causes that I with which I disagree." Do I think it would be immoral though to buy the book? Well, I would weigh this. First of all, what's the nature of the reward I'm giving, and what's the nature of the benefit I'm getting? right? The fact of the matter is, if I go out and buy Harry Potter, I'm not making J.K. Rowling rich. I may get a very large benefit though from the book. I've watched all the movies. I really enjoyed them. Um, and plus, from what I understand, I don't know exactly what she did, but whatever. My point is only that there's a lot of things to weigh. I would be inclined to say enjoy the book, enjoy the video game. Now, would I give my life savings to J.K. Rowling? No.
No.
No, but you're talking about I'm paying for something. And ultimately, look, I go, how many times do I go to a restaurant or I go to a store and what is happening? Okay. Okay. I go to, I patronize all kinds of shops, and the character of these people is unknown to me, right? They may be very bad people. And if I'm going to say, well, anybody that doesn't meet my moral standards, I'm not going to interact with, I'm not going to buy from, I'm probably going to end up in a very lonely, starving situation, right? Like I'd end up going to one restaurant maybe. So bring context to bear. I don't begrudge somebody that would say I'm not going to buy her books for that reason, but I'm okay with doing it.
I agree. I think it's fine to separate the art from the artist. Neil Gaiman, a lot of people don't like, they're very angry with him and they were like burning his books, and I'm just like, you're fucking stupid, burning your own property because he said some mildly problematic things like 10 years ago.
I never even
Um,
heard of the man, so
Educate yourself. Go watch Sandman on Netflix. It's really good.
not that important to me. I've actually heard that Ayn Rand: The Sense of Life is streaming on Tubi for free, so I think I'm going to watch that.
Well, you enjoy that.
I
Here's
will.
here's an interesting one. Is it wrong to cheat on your wife who has bad dementia? I know a man who's 80 plus and he has a wife of a similar age. She has really bad dementia, like final stage bad. Doesn't know who anyone is, needs to be fed, wears diapers.
No, it's not wrong. No,
So this man got a side chick.
go get your freak on, old man.
Not wrong, you think?
No.
There is a woman whose husband was in, I think he was in a car accident, and he ended up like severely brain damaged. Like he's still alive, but he's not all there. And she ended up getting remarried, but he's the ex-husband still lives with them, and they like care him her and her new husband basically care for her ex who's completely fucked up. And a lot of people are really against that because they're like, how must it feel for this dude to see his wife with another dude?
I thought, is he cognizant of what's happening?
I mean, it's questionable. He's got the mentality of like a 3-year-old.
Yeah,
He
I don't.
sort of he sort of knows what's going on. He recognizes the new husband and he gets really excited to see him. So,
Okay. Yeah. Let's get to a new topic.
can I justify violating my partner's privacy if I think he's hiding something huge?
It
I'm gonna
depends.
gi- I'm gonna
It
give you more
depends on
time.
how huge, and it depends on the nature of the evidence you already have. I mean, if I've got reason to believe that Diana is a serial killer, and I've got good reason, and I've got access to what I think is the evidence, yeah, I'm violating her privacy.
So, long story short, my boyfriend moved to Canada from a developing country in which his family has significant political sway. He was involved in violent crime back home and was sent here by his family after a particularly gruesome incident. He has shared some of his past with me, and it's pretty scary. However, I've managed to overlook it until this point because he seems to have realized his mistakes and has never made me feel anything but safe. He's incredibly caring, but sometimes he will accidentally let a hidden detail or thing he hadn't meant for me to know slip out. This is stressing me out. So, she went and did some research. She basically found out that his family was so powerful that they could never be linked to anything directly. So she went snooping into his private life because she figured that whatever violent crime he was into was worse than he was letting on.
Okay, so
She had promised him that she wouldn't look into his
okay,
family's
all
crimes.
right. So I'm trying to get through this information. No, she should just break up with him. If you have that level of distrust for somebody, then just break up with them. And the case I give where if somebody's hiding bodies, you like serial killer type thing, then I could help prosecute a serial killer and get her off the street. She's not doing any of that with this guy, who's untouchable according to her. And so she just doesn't trust him and wants to look into things. And if you have that lack of trust, you shouldn't be in the relationship.
She followed up because everybody gave her sort of the same advice. And she said, to anybody who feels like leaving something to the effect of break up, please take 2 seconds to read my replies. Where she basically said, no, she's not going to break up with him. She just is like, am I wrong for looking into his.
Yeah, because you're not breaking up with him, because you're staying with him and you're lying to him. So, yes, you're wrong. Now, there's a good example. So, look, why go to a public forum to ask for advice that you don't want to hear? Because all she really wants is, it seems, is for people to tell her no. That's understandable. Because the people that give her the answer, you should just break up with them. She doesn't want to hear that.
No.
So
But
get bent.
okay, the last two that I have, because we went through these really quickly, the last two that I have are quite broad and vague.
Okay, I can't stay very long today because I have an
Well,
interview to
that's
do at 3:30. So pick one and then we'll save the other one.
okay. I You might hate this. How do you learn to say no without feeling guilty? This person says, I have a hard time saying no to people, even when I know that I should. For example, I easily lend money to friends, even though I know it probably won't be returned. I do it thinking it will help them. They need it, but later I feel taken advantage of. I don't want to be rude or selfish, so I say yes and stay uncomfortable.
Okay.
How do you learn to set boundaries and say no without guilt? And I know that this isn't a problem that you have, but it's a problem that other people have.
No, I get it. The problem is people oftentimes when they ask a question like that is they're looking for a quick fix. And
What?
other than just say no, there is no quick fix. If you want to get rid of the emotional compulsion inside of you to do that, you have to do the type of depth work to repair your self esteem, to learn how to be assertive. It takes time. There's no easy answer. You need to read. You need to learn about yourself. You have to have objective standards of behavior. You need to learn how to communicate, how to be assertive, and all that takes time. There is no answer in Reddit or on this show to the effect of, oh, just do that and it's fixed. I mean, I can give it, just say no. But we're talking about people who feel like they can't do that. And so, therefore, they have to work on the stuff inside them that's preventing them from doing it.
How if this person came to you and they weren't looking for a quick fix, they were determined to put in the work, where would you suggest that they start?
I would say read The Psychology of Self Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. That's where I would say to start. You can also, I mean, Nathaniel Branden has a lot of books. Honoring the Self is a good one. How to Raise Your Self Esteem is a good one. But they're all based, in part at least, on his book, The Psychology of Self Esteem.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend. There's an abundance of literature out there that they can read, but that's what I would send them to.
So besides a book, because yes, reading is good, is there anything else that you would suggest?
Yeah, see, that's the problem.
No. Say they
No,
go.
no,
Say
no,
they. Say
no.
they go.
You no,
Say they
no,
go and read the book.
no, 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 no. We're not. No, because here's the thing. Because that's the answer that you get normally. Oh, besides the book, okay. What answer do you think that I'm going to give that is not going to entail a massive amount of repair work that the person needs to do? Not you, Persephone. I'm saying in general. If somebody says, I've read the book, okay, you've read through the book. Have you done the sentence stems in the back of the book? Have you done the exercises? Have you gone to a list of recommended readings? Have you looked online to see, well, if I enjoyed this book and it helped, what else should I do? Have you looked into maybe there's some podcasts out there that deal with the issues? You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things that the person can do to follow up, but that's the first thing. And I got to tell you, I've not met somebody yet that is capable of doing the type of change that we're talking about without reading. I just haven't seen it. Doesn't mean it's not
I don't.
possible. I just haven't seen it.
I agree with you. The reading is very important. It is the first step. I just wanted you to give a practical answer as well as a book recommendation.
The other answer is all has to do with learning and application. You first have to learn, and there's nothing that I can say in the moment. I mean, I could go through the steps. You know, I could tell you, look, you need to have a rational, objective standard of ethics, and that would be your own life is the criteria to judge by. Is something good for you? But learning, and I could tell them all the values and all the virtues. But me saying it isn't going to make that integrate into that person. The person has to be willing to do the extensive work in order to get this stuff right. Has to be willing to learn to think logically, correct their maladaptive thinking, and act in ways that are very uncomfortable at times in order to overcome that stuff.
I agree with you. I think that was a good answer. Nice book recommendations. Now I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Persephone, for finding the challenging questions and for asking them. Thank you, audience, for participating, and thank you for your comments. We will be back tomorrow, probably for a little longer tomorrow. I won't have anything going on immediately after after the show, so we are looking forward to it. Until then, be ethical.